have so much blood on my hands. I have so much blood on my hands that...
Blood? Mr. Savers, I don't see any blood. What's going on here? There isn't anything on your hand.
I murdered my homie.
I didn't know that.
Okay, I
Mr.
murdered my
Savers.
homie. I murdered my homie. I murdered my friend. I killed my best friend.
Let me make sure I'm understanding, Mr. Savers. You're saying you committed a murder?
Yes, Doc. That's what I'm saying.
How did you get away with this? Was there an investigation?
Investigation? See, Doc, in the streets, business is handled when it's handled. There's no police investigations. You got killers and dope dealers and robbers and all this and that. Cops don't give a damn. They don't care. So it was no problem for me to do what I had to do to protect myself.
What about this person's family? Did they have kids or what?
We've always had a code by avoiding that. We avoid that type of stuff. Families, initial families, to keep them safe, keep them from out of harm's work for what we were really doing. We protect our families, so the best way to protect them is not to get involved with it.
Okay, what was your friend's name, your homie?
His name was L. We grew up together. It was kindergarten, first grade, I believe. First grade. And we did everything together. Everything. We started running numbers in middle school. We started selling weed in middle school, cocaine in high school. Eventually we got to the point to where everybody knew who he was and everybody wanted to jump on board. So we created our own personal street gang, whatever you want to call it. And it worked. It worked for about 6 years. And, that's that.
Well, I guess if he was your homie, as you put it, and this has been since first grade, why did you feel the need to take his life?
Look, first of all, L.
Mr. Savers.
L, okay, he started lack of communication. That's what we can't have in this business. And
Communication, Mr. Savers?
Yeah, he started doing things different.
Are you saying that's a reason for taking a life, is communication?
No. He would leave every other weekend. It started him leaving every other weekend and not coming back until Monday. That turned into a religious thing. He started going every weekend, and I started getting curious myself. Why is my homeboy, my right-hand man, why is he not communicating? Where is he disappearing on weekends when that's when the most money and the most work is being done? And I decided to start looking myself. So I tell him one day, I tell him to a house, and I see this house, and
what color was this house, Mr. Savers?
I don't know. It was a white old brick house in East Atlanta somewhere.
Picket fence, maybe?
No, it didn't have a picket. It had a gate, but not a picket fence. It was more like I can't remember. It's 15 years ago. The bottom line is, one of my other guys, word got back that that house belonged to someone that's been trying to take over our territory for years. His name was Skeet. He used to try to take over our territory right off the bat. It's a guy who we also grew up with. He was on one side, we was on the other. He wanted our territory. It never happened. A whole lot of blood was lost. A lot of blood was shed. And a lot of lives were taken. So I felt as if my best friend L had betrayed me and our business that we worked so hard for. And yeah, that's when I
Mr. Savers, did you ever think about maybe there was a possibility that L, as you call him, maybe he was going to that house to visit maybe a little girl? Maybe he had a little girl there that he looked forward to spending the weekends with. And maybe that little girl, Mr. Savers, was looking forward to seeing her daddy, where she would just run and jump in his arms, Mr. Savers. Maybe she loved her daddy and he loved her, and he would do whatever it takes, Mr. Savers, to see her, spend time with her, read her books at night until she would fall asleep, Mr. Savers. Maybe there's a possibility that she looked forward to those weekends when her daddy would come through the door and pick her up in his arms and just swing her around like a merry-go-round, Mr. Savers. Have you ever thought about that when you took the life of L? Have you ever thought about what L stood for, Mr. Savers? Has it ever come across your mind, Mr. Savers? What's my name, Mr. Savers?
Doc.
What is my name, Mr. Savers?
What are you doing with the shotgun, Doc?
My name is Dr. Lambert. Do you know what that starts with, Mr. Savers? An L. It starts with an L. Bentley, I need you to stop. I need you to stop, Bentley. Talk to me, Mr. Savers. Talk to me. Do you know what the L stood for? Lambert, Mr. Savers. Lambert. What are you scared? You scared now, Mr. Savers? Are you scared? How did L look when you put the gun to him?
What?
How did he look? That was my daddy, Mr. Savers. My dad. Was he doing what you're doing there, squirming like a little girl? Was he doing that, Mr. Savers? Talk to me. Don't turn your head now. Why are you turning it now? Huh?
I'm sorry. Listen.
You really think sorry now is gonna make a difference? Mr. Savers, Mr. CEO.
Sorry.
My dad wanted to be a CEO too.
Put the gun down, Doc.
Put it down for what, Mr. Savers?
You don't know what you're doing.
For what? I'm not putting it down. Did my dad tell you
Look.
to put the gun down?
Put the gun down. We'll write you a check. I will quadruple your money. Please don't do this.
Oh, you're going to write me a check. You know what, Mr. Savers? You are the check. And I'm about to cash it in. And you know how I'm going to do that, Mr. Savers?
No.
Like that.
They done got me for murder. Me? Heat up the block with my burner. Bow. Her head was so good I was learning. Damn. I'm gone off the drinking, I'm swerving. I'm leaning. Remember the day of my first jug? I do. A young nigga wasn't even nervous. Nope. Now all my shoes are Giuseppe. Whew. I'm throwing my money on purpose. Can you get it? I'm swimming inside of her ocean. Phelps. We make all the plays with the coach, bitch. Ooh. Draw the mistake, now we rich, bitch. We rich. Get jammed by the folks, ain't no snitching. Nope. Back in the day, used to shop at Rich's. Now I spend on my Benjis at Saks Fifth. La mama, I swear you be acting. I swear. My pockets are fat like a mattress. Damn. You smoking on me, we be gassing. Gas. Hit that bit one, can you asthma? If you cannot take it, then pass it. Pass. Throwing money, can you catch it? I keep my money in the attic. Yep. Wrap the dope up in plastic. Nothing but green like a salad. I love it. Shout out my niggas, we made it. Rondo, Mad Crew.